Just a real quick video. I've set up GhostBSD, and this is in response to DT's video 3 years ago. I've been up for 1 hour and 25 minutes from the beginning of my installation all the way until this completed desktop with all my software that I'm gonna need. Got Audacity, Celluloid, Cheese, DSB Mixer, M-Player, MPV Player, OBS Studio, which is running now, Rhythm Box, that came in by default, Simple Screen Recorder, SM Player, and VLC came in by default. Under graphics, I got Blender, GIMP, Krita, and Shotwell came in by default as well. Let's see, I got PC Man FM. Oh, Featherpad, I gotta get Featherpad yet. Let's see. Got H-Top, system monitor, and nothing in Office yet. So pretty much a usable system already. This is proof that it doesn't take long to set up GhostBSD to do what you want it to do. Okay, hello there. Yep, I'm back in the GhostBSD here. This is my really second day using it. So far, I hadn't had any real problems. I've got VirtualBox installed and it's up and running and it works. Let's see what else we got here. We got under my favorite, well, let's just go through the categories. Under accessories, got PC Man FM, Featherpad, calculator, HP Device Manager. I had to reinstall that. It said it was installed, but it wouldn't come up. So when I reinstalled it, it did work. And there is my second glitch. So the next thing I'll overcome is I can get the USB printer to work, but finding the wireless one so far has been a challenge. And I hadn't really, to be fair, I hadn't really done anything to see what was up with it. I didn't need to go to their wiki and look and see. Under development, Glade, Qt5 assistant, and a designer. Under education, we got LibreOffice Math because I brought in LibreOffice. Let's see, under games, I got a whole slew of games here that all work. Alright, Asteroids, Astro Menace, Barrage, etc. Under graphics, I got Blender, Event, GIMP, the GNU image manipulation program, LibreOffice Draw, Nomax, and Shotwell comes in by default. I think I've already went over most of this. At the time, the first part of my video, I didn't have all of it installed. For instance, Kdenlive wasn't installed at that point, but it is now and working just fine. All the editing on this is going to take place on this machine right here, and I'll show you what machine this is. There's the LibreOffice. Under other, we got that scanner, HP scanner, which I just set all that up. I just need to work on the wireless. Under system, I have system monitor, VirtualBox, H-Top. Let me bring up a terminal and say Neofetch. We'll see, even though this is GhostBSD, it shows up as FreeBSD 13 stable. And this morning, I've been up an hour, almost 2 hours now. What did I want to see here? I wanted to show you that the system is pretty small. I mean, it's an older system. So Intel Pentium G4400, 3.31 gigahertz. It does have 16 gigabytes of RAM. So we're doing pretty good as far as that goes. Let me close out a Neofetch. Let's go to my system monitor and I'm going to point this out. Right now with OBS Studio going, let's see, let me bring up a text editor, Featherpad, just to get it fair here. And we'll bring up the internet, Firefox, minimize that. Now you can see we got OBS running, the audio mixer is running, system monitor is running, Firefox is on, and I got a text editor running. Now if I took OBS Studio out of the picture, that would be closer to the comparison that I'm talking about as far as FreeBSD goes. At idle, with only a text editor going and simple screen recorder with no audio, it was pulling closer to 3 than this is with all this stuff going. And Mozilla, as you know, is a pretty hungry beast in itself. So you see it went down under 2 gigs just then. So the system resources is really nice. The software station has a little glitch in it, and it works, but I'll show you the glitch. Let it load up here, sync with the repositories. While it's doing that, let's look at my menu again. Under internet, that comes in with transmission. I took that out and installed qBittorrent. Just happens to be the one I'm familiar with is all. There was no real reason. All right. Watch right here in this as let me make this bigger. I don't know if it'll help that little box or not, but no. At least get it more in the center. Let's see. I'm going to type in H. Let's see. Let's go something bigger. A simple screen recorder. And you can see it stopped after the second 2 letters. But if I hit enter, you'll find, or I have found, it continues on, but for some reason glitches out of there. And I must have misspelled it because it's definitely in there. And you see it's glitching right now. So that's what I'm talking about. Let's see if I go try it one more time. Simple screen recorder. Press enter. See if it got all of that. That's what you'll think, that it's not getting all of that. And you see it did. Didn't work the first time. I'm not sure. I must have had it spelt wrong. Had to have. And that's the glitch. You see it does work, but it appears to, I don't know what's happening. After the second letter, it quits. Before they had that glitch and it wouldn't go any further, but now it's going further, but it just appears like it's not. So other than that, it works. It's got a lot of neat categories in here. I was able to see all kind of games or archivers, miscellaneous, multimedia. You got a lot of options. They got a real good repository. And I know you could use your command line, and I have used the command line to install some items, but I've done a lot of research or a lot of installing using the software station. And so I guess that's going to conclude. There is one thing that I don't like about it, and I haven't found it yet. The login screen. I would like to be able to edit that some, personalize it. And so far, I haven't found anything in their wiki or man pages to accomplish that. But if I keep digging, I may do that. Anyway, I may be back on part 3. I'm not sure. I just wanted to give GhostBSD a chance, so I'm going to play in it at least another couple more days and see just how it functions and how, if I get through the editing all right. This could be it. This is definitely a lot easier than any of the other BSDs to just get working right out of the box. The audio, I did have audio at the beginning, but I was having to manipulate it through the command line, and I installed DSP Mixer. Found you can go to the default device here and select. Wonder if this will play while I'm recording. Yep. And you just pick which one you think it is and test it. If it doesn't work the way it's supposed to, like I want mine to come out of my monitor speakers, and so therefore it has to go through a HDMI display port to do that. So that's why it's PCM2. And in the command line, this will be PCM3, I do believe. It starts 1, 2, 3 instead of 0, 1, 2. Anyway, I'm impressed with GhostBSD. I installed it before and looked around a little bit, but I just really didn't give it a chance, and that's what this is all about. I gave DragonflyBSD a chance on this very same computer. I wasn't too thrilled with it. There was some things that just simply would not work or wasn't available. But so far with GhostBSD, everything I've asked for, I've gotten. I hadn't looked for a single item, I don't think, that they didn't have. That's pretty good. Let me close that out. Okay, so I'm back in the GhostBSD. Today is my official 5 days. Let me bring this up. This is when I first installed OBS. This is when I first installed GhostBSD on the 24th of September. Today's the 29th. So today will be my 5th full day into GhostBSD. With only one exception, I'm very happy about with GhostBSD. I've got the system monitor running so we can see what kind of processes we're using. I'm using OBS Studio, a file manager, let's see, and the monitor itself. So if we go to processes, you can see that OBS is using about 40% of the processor and about a little over a half a gig of the RAM. I've got everything I needed installed, 17.2 gigabytes. So it's not too bad. This morning I woke up, and when I got to my computer here, a little notification thing come down here and said I had a update to do. I let it run, and I recorded it here so I could show it. And it was Xorg update. And this is the first automatic update that I've done. Update. Okay, let me bring up my notes here. It's gonna be tough because I'm trying to bring out a lot of stuff about GhostBSD, and so far the first 2 clips I'm probably 12 minutes. I'm gonna try to make this as fast as possible and cover as much as I can. I was curious of why it was called GhostBSD, and you'll find that answer right here on this page, or you can read this, put it on pause and read that. It basically has something to do with GTK and FreeBSD. This was the installation of GhostBSD. I showed all this stuff during one of my earlier installation videos of GhostBSD. Kind of explained the RC init system a little bit. Then I come to printing. I had looked and I saw when I went to my menu, I typed in print, and I had also saw during the installation that it was installing system config printer. I plugged in my printer in the USB drive, and I brought it up, and I brought this up. Of course, I brought it up as root and added a printer. And then when I went to print a test page, it said that there was an error in cups. So I said, okay, and I logged out, logged back in, and I tried it again. Came up with the same error. So I got to looking, and even though the software station said it was installed the first time I looked, because once I saw it in my menu, I went here to where when this opens, there'll be an option here to select installed software. But I just did a search, and it was unticked. System config printer was unticked. Let's show you how I did that there. And that's that glitch I was showing you in the second segment of the video here. There we go. So when I looked it up, it was unticked, meaning it was not installed. So I installed it. Then I tried that process again, and this time it didn't work again. So I rebooted my machine, thinking, well, maybe it just needed to be rebooted. Before that, whatever it done, system config printer, whatever it needed to do, could do it when it loaded up. Because remember, I'd already went through and did all of the editing that you needed to do in order to get cups up and running. When I rebooted, this time it came up. I was able to bring it up with sudo rights. And when I did it this way, after the third attempt, and I made sure that it was installed, system config printer was installed, I added the printer and was able to print through the USB. Then I tried to add a Wi-Fi printer, and it would never work. It wouldn't even recognize it. I would run HP setup. Let's see, this may not even open because I didn't do it. Yeah, it'll open. So I even run through this and nothing seemed to work. I said, okay, let me go back to my notes. What did I have to do to get the Wi-Fi printer to work? I followed my own guide and got the Wi-Fi printer using this guide right here, which is, like I said, in a video. You're welcome to go to it and check it out. I followed these instructions, which I had already done a video on them. Let me bring mine up so you can see what mine actually looks like. And scroll down, bring this up to the middle of the screen. Scroll down. And I added this entry between the two locations there: order, deny, allow, deny from all, allow from 192.168.1 with the asterisk, meaning anybody that comes within that thing can connect. So then I went down to the bottom here. Wait, down probably faster. And I told it to browse address 192.168.0.204. And then the next entry is / browse address 168.0 or .0, and that was it. Once I did all that, now I got those numbers, by the way, of running if config. That's how you come up with these numbers, and right here, if config. And mine was 0. Then I went into the Xfce4 comp file again and added this line, which we saw a while ago, or did we? I don't think we did. I don't think I got that far yet. Cups was already in here and it was already enabled. Then I went down to the bottom here and I added the login devfs system rule set login. Okay, I'll go ahead and cover this. These two entries right here have to do with Bluetooth. So I had to add these entries into the xfce4.conf file in order to get my Bluetooth to work, which we'll get to that. Escape. Leave the editor. I didn't do anything. Hope. Okay. This time I went ahead and just run these commands and restarted the printer. It said stopping it, restarting it, and everything. Then I went back to the system config printer, added a Wi-Fi, picked it right up. I was able to print a page, print a test page somewhere in here. Oh, I bet it's here in my picture. Yep. There it is. I was able to actually scan. I installed a program called Xsign right here, Xsign, and I was able to scan what I had just printed from the test page. You can see right here it says HP DeskJet 4100 Wi-Fi. Once I printed it, I stuck it in the scanner, installed Xsign, and was able to scan this document right in there. We'll put this over here temporarily, just so it'll be there when I need it. Let's see, back to my notes and where we was at. So that's how I got my wireless printer set up. It was just, I followed the guide in the FreeBSD handbook. And it even told you that it referred, when you go to GhostBSD and look it up, it'll refer you to the FreeBSD wiki page. And that's how I set up my printer. Worked just fine. In fact, this was the easiest printer I've set up. This is the easiest system that I have set up a printer in. BSD system. Need to clarify that. BSD system. In Arch, I can have it up running in about 5 minutes. All right, so fact that it's going to the printing there, I had to create a folder and change mode of that folder, and then I edited it, and you saw that where I had put that in there. I've already explained this anyway in the previous video. If you'll run lp info, hit enter, let that go back to a prompt, type in lp info -include -scheme space dn ssd space -v, let that bring you back to the prompt. Then run lp stat space -p. Whatever your printer is, it'll tell you what it is, and it'll also tell you it's been enabled since. This was enabled on August the 25th. The next day after I installed GhostBSD, I was able to get my printer up and running. It was not that easy in FreeBSD for some reason. So once I got my printer up and running and everything, I was great. It was really very painless. Just followed along with the wiki and basically copied and pasted in where I needed to go. So my next thing was the VirtualBox to get installed. I wanted to make sure that was going to work in GhostBSD, and it does. I won't start one of those, but see, it's here. And it's up and running. Let's see, and you can see I've got an extension installed as well. That's very important. I went over that recently. That one does a lot of things. It was not installed, and I just did this by command line, sudo pkg install VirtualBox -ose, and then the additions, and then the kmod, and this was the versions that it installed. Once I did that, I did the change the kernel and loaded it into the kernel, sudo kld kernel load vbox driver, and it told me it was already running, so great. So I went into my bootloader.com. Like I said, this is all in the wiki handbook, and I also did a complete video on these right here. And I just basically repeated the process that I had already done, and it worked right off of the bat. Alt needs to be enabled. It was enabled already. And to make that permanent, went into the Xfce dev fs file system and added those entries there, which I had already been in here with the printer. Let's see. Yep, right there, or the VirtualBox there. And then down here, that's for allowing you to be able to use USBs and DVD-ROM drives in VirtualBox. Okay, so that was all there was to that VirtualBox. I followed the instructions, my own guide, and it installed and worked right off the bat. Nice. On the 25th, this same day, I went to run a update in the terminal because I had installed some programs and I just wanted to make sure everything was up to date. And I got an error that said unable to update repository FreeBSD, error updating repositories. So I did a little research and I found out you could run this command, the capital F, to super force it to do the upgrade. It still would not work. I said, okay, maybe, just maybe. And I rebooted. When it came back up, I run this right here, this command, and it worked just fine. I hadn't really had a problem. And then this very morning on the 9th, it told me I had another update down here, and in the notification area, and I let it do this own thing. And yep, hadn't had a problem. Okay, so a little bonus feature here. If you do use Featherpad and you want to do spell checking, you will have to have Hunspell Checker installed, and you'll need to know what your language is. First thing you would do is go to Options, Preferences, Text tab, scroll down to the bottom, and by default this is already checked for you, but there is no path for the dictionary that it's using. So at this point you don't have it. If you just install Featherpad, it does not come in by default, or at least it doesn't in my experience on BSDs. I hadn't checked this out in Arch. It may, I don't know. But you can do a couple things. You can say, where is oops. And it'll search for it. And if you have it installed, this is after you've installed it. Let me go back here. We're going to do a search for Hunspell. Now you got a graphical software station you could also do this in. We'll just do a search for Hunspell, and you'll see all kind of languages here. Mine was English Hunspell. If you wanted to do that in the command line, it would be sudo pkg install, for me, English hyphen or en hyphen Hunspell. Once that's downloaded and installed, like I said, you could do the where is Hunspell, get your address or the path, go back up to your preferences, go to or options, preferences, text, scroll down. Now you can copy that from the terminal, or you can actually just hit the browse button and go find it. And you can see all of these are in English, Great Britain. I had no idea what all those places are, but this is the US dictionary. Once you get that path in there, you're good to go. And it's going to, by default, it's going to check from the right of your cursor. So I'm going to put my cursor right here to the left of open. F2 is the command line. So it's telling me that featherpad should be 2 words. So anyway, the point is that spell checker does work, and it's using the English dictionary. Okay, another bonus tidbit, gold nugget, if you will. I'll go ahead and just close that out. We see it's still running pretty good. Every time you look up or find, every time I have looked up or have searched for DSB mixer and installed it, but when I'm looking it up, every picture that I see includes bass and treble. Well, mine did not. It did not have bass and treble by default. I found a little tidbit here. You can see I got it in here now. Now this is the default sound card, and I'm not sure, this might be the headphone jack in the front. I'm not sure. I hadn't tested it, but you'll see they do have the bass and treble option. My sound card is going through a HDMI display port, so I don't have that option. It will make no difference to my sound. But if I was to plug a speaker in, then you'd have change your default card right here, preferences, default device. Click on one until you make sure it's working, coming out the speaker that you want it to come out of, and that'll be your default device. If it's one of these two, you'll have that bass and treble. Now, how did I get that? Well, I found a tidbit. This will be this is the link that you'll find what I'm saying here. It was very easy. In fact, in that forum, it's covering a lot more than this. This happened to be one of the little gold nuggets I found. I went down to the bottom there, and I copied and pasted, or I typed in a hint, .pcm period 0 period EQ equals, and in quotation marks 1, then the same thing for PCM1. When I did that, I had to log out. I logged back in. DSB mixer restarted, and I had the bass and the treble. And I did plug in a headset just to see, and it does work. Very nice. Well, that's going to do it on this. Save that. That's going to do it for this report on GhostBSD. Actually, I'm thinking that I may take this GhostBSD and put it on one of my other production machine that's got FreeBSD on it right now, and it's a really hard choice. If you have an opinion, I would really like to hear it. Should I stay with GhostBSD and put it on one of my production machines, or should I just leave this on a tester or beater or what have you and keep FreeBSD on my test machine? You tell me. Thanks very much for watching. I'll catch you on another video. Peace out. Bye.